Welcome to Spiritual Dialogue with Father Udon de Castro. I'm your host, Brother Lodi. With us is Sister Tachi.
Father?
Father, please continue the discussion about the dubia.
So we hope this would be our last session on discussing the dubia because there are other things talaga we have to discuss, which are important things which is causing the confusion in the Catholic Church today. So our biggest problem with the dubia is that many bishops are not very well acquainted with what is it all about. And because of that, because of their blind loyalty towards the papacy, which should be really, we should be loyal to the papacy, but because their loyalty is blind, they're committing a big mistake. They're committing heresies. Because our loyalty has always to be very intelligent. It's to be based on facts and on knowledge and on wisdom. It must never be blind loyalty. In fact, the Catholic faith is not a blind believing in the truths. It is believing in truths which had been proven to be coming from God. So it's not a blind thing. So the defect of our bishops is this blind loyalty towards the Pope, in which case they're going to accept anything and everything that he says without checking whether they are Catholic doctrines or not. Now, if you will notice, we are trying in this program to try to solve the confusion in the Catholic Church. And I'm not the one saying that the confusion reigns in the Catholic Church today. If you read all the newspapers, everybody is saying that there is total confusion going on in the Catholic Church today. So we are not the ones saying it. What we're trying to do in this program is try to solve some of the confusion. And one of the sources of the confusion, we said, is the fact that those who are supposed to teach us are not teaching us the right things. While we who are supposed to learn are not learning things properly. So the defect is in the teacher and the defect is in the pupil.
What is the defect of the pupil in trying to understand the teaching of the priest, especially in the seminary?
Yeah, that's the next big point we're going to discuss the moment we finish the defects of our teachers. Because even if we learn things correctly, and I teach you how to solve the defect of the pupil, but as long as the teacher teaching you is the wrong teacher, we will never solve the problem. So we'll have to solve first the problem of the teacher teaching us the wrong things. And we have seen already that the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines had been teaching us 4 wrong things, and we have discussed this already. And now, what we are discovering is that the Pope himself is teaching us wrong things. So not only the Bishops' Conference of the Philippines is teaching us wrong things, but the Pope even is teaching us wrong things, which is recorded by his own writings in Amoris Laetitia, which is the most discussed encyclical. It's not an encyclical, apostolic exhortation today. Almost everybody is talking about it. And everybody is using it to declare the Pope a heretic. And that's the purpose of the dubia, that the 5 to 7 statements of Pope Francis as written down, so it's written down, he cannot deny it, in Amoris Laetitia are heretical. So the dubia is asking Pope Francis, is that really what you mean? Actually, he should say, that's what I mean. Because that's what he wrote down.
Father, we don't understand why the authority, the priest who graduated from a religious group, could make a mistake this kind of a simple situation? Haven't they read the teaching or the writings of the fathers of the church, teaching Christianity, Saint Augustine and Saint Thomas Aquinas?
As you're asking, Brother Lodi, how come the priests do not know these things?
Yes, Father.
If the Pope doesn't know these things, how do you expect the priest to know these things, isn't it? So, in other words, there is something deeper that we have to analyze in these things. That surely most of the popes know these things. In fact, all the previous popes before Pope Francis know the answer to these things. Like Consortio, Divinus Consortio, is an encyclical that says that married people cannot separate without dispensation, and they cannot receive Holy Communion if they are remarried. That is very clear in the former encyclicals of the Pope. All priests also will tell you they cannot do that. But how come they are now tolerating this? And if you look at the newspapers, whole dioceses, bishops are imposing it. Bishops, not priests. Bishops are imposing it on their dioceses. This heretical teaching. So if you ask me, how come?
Yes, Father.
Then you have to look for something deeper. This is not just mere ignorance or bad education in the seminary.
What could be the deeper
What do they
reason?
want to achieve?
Oh, what?
Well, this could only be explained by a diabolical
Yes, it's scary.
influence. No right person in his right mind, a priest or a bishop or a cardinal or a pope, would do this without being tempted by diabolical influences. And the Blessed Virgin Mary has said this in Fatima already, has been warning us about these diabolical influences. And Christ had been telling us about this. If you notice, every time Christ would preach, before he preaches, he would first heal the people and drive the devil away from them. Before he would preach, he would drive the devil, because as long as the person is possessed by the devil, he will not understand what is the preaching of Christ. And so what we are influencing, what we are experiencing right now is diabolical desolation, really, or influence. In which case, the only way to overcome it, Christ says, is with prayer and fasting, if you want to fight the devil. And so our big problem now is majority of the bishops. That's our big problem now. Many of us do not know what's happening in Rome.
Yes, Father.
Many has not even written or read Amoris Laetitia. Not even our bishops have read it. Majority, I think some have read it. That's why they did not vote in favor of Amoris Laetitia in the meeting in Cebu. But since majority voted for it, it means that they have not read it. And they do not know what are the issues involved. Which is also a sin, because you don't do those things without thinking. And so our worry is how to help our bishops in the Philippines. Because unless they correct their heresies, they would be Protestant bishops running dioceses that are supposed to be Catholics, in which case there is a very grave danger that very soon these Catholic dioceses would turn to become Protestant.
Father, how can we change the kind of thinking we have among the bishops now?
Well, nobody can change your thinking, Brother Lodi, except you.
Yes, if I want to search the truth and the wisdom of God, probably I'll be given the grace to understand.
Yeah. There are attempts. We had made many attempts, because we are Catholics. We're supposed to help one another, and we have to help one another. We have to help our priests. We're supposed to help our bishops. And at this point, the help we must give our priests and our bishops are not financial help to help their dioceses and to help their parishes. The help we should give them is knowledge that they lack and which is causing them to commit heresies. Now, heresy is a sin against faith. If you are a heretic, you have no faith. And if you have no faith, you cannot go to heaven.
Yes, Father.
What if this parish priest or this bishop share this heresy with the diocese or with the parish? So suddenly we have an entire diocese or an entire parish without faith. And these people will all go to hell when they die. Because Christ said so. If you don't believe, you are already condemned if you don't believe.
Yes.
And when you say you don't believe, that means you are embracing a heresy. You do not believe a Catholic truth. And so the dubia sent by the cardinals to Pope Francis is asking him the question that he is not believing 5 to 7 Catholic truths.
Father, some people, some group doesn't believe in the Catholic truths. I heard it so many times among the preacher, Protestant preacher. What is the Catholic truth, Father?
Well, that is a much longer story to be told, because the Catholic truth is nearly impossible to teach to anyone.
Isn't it the teaching of Christ being adopted by the Catholics?
Yeah, because the Catholic truths are divided into two. What you call natural Catholic truths, natural, which I can teach you, which any human being can teach, can be taught in the seminary, can be taught in theological school. These are natural Catholic truths. Like there is a God. That's a natural Catholic truth. But there are supernatural Catholic truths, like what is grace, what is predestination. Nobody can teach that but God. No.
How can we understand that, Father?
That's why I'm saying it's impossible.
That's
You cannot.
supernatural truth, supernatural knowledge.
Unless God teaches you.
Not unless you seek for that kind of knowledge.
Yan, enough.
Well, God will teach you, and He assures He will teach you the moment you know all natural Catholic truths.
And this is the reason why the bishop don't get these natural, the Catholic truths, the supernatural
Yeah.
truth.
The fact is, when they were students, not when they were bishops, we're talking about bishops who do not know how to teach. And we're talking about parish priests who do not know how to teach. But once upon a time, these priests and bishops were students,
Yes, Father.
like us, learning. They did not learn it in the right way. Just as we lay people today are not learning it the right way. And Pope John Paul II told that to the Catholic Bishops' Conference in Reggio Veritas in Fairview, Quezon City, no? Fairview, Quezon
Yes,
City.
ma'am.
In a conference he gave, the Catholic Bishops' Conference in Reggio Veritas, he told them that there was a defect in the training of the seminarians. A defect. He told them. And he told them to revamp the seminary training. To revamp. Because the graduates of the seminaries in the Philippines are not teaching people how to become good Catholics. Defective training of the priests and the bishops, which we're saying right now in the program. Up to now, it's still defective. Because even if Pope John Paul II told them to correct it, they have not corrected it from that time until now.
Only 1 minute, Father. You have final statement.
So you see that the problem we're facing now, which is a very big problem, which is the dubia sent by cardinals to Pope Francis, has been caused by the fact that the teachers of the Catholic faith are not teaching us in the right way, and the students of the Catholic faith are not learning the Catholic faith in the right way.
Thank you for viewing Spiritual Dialogue with Father Don Castro. Next time, Father will discuss about things that we should understand. Thank you so much.
Hosanna,